What's going on, everybody? This is Childish. We're back at it again with the second episode of our RTA analysis series. If you guys are not familiar with this, basically we choose an RTA replay once a week and break it down from top to bottom, take a look at that pick and ban pace as well as the gameplay throughout to see what kind of mistakes or what kind of good choices we made along the way so that we can essentially learn from this particular fight and improve our knowledge of World Arena as a community. This particular person, now again, I think it's Arstar. I don't know how you pronounce it, Arstar, but I think it's Arstar from the Shadow of Our Guild. I wanted to go ahead and feature this one because he is one that I fought in quite a bit, and generally I struggle really bad with him. So I wanted to go ahead and showcase that because sometimes when you get in certain situations, you find certain opponents that have such unique monsters or certain monsters that just kind of make you cringe to no end, and you just know that if this particular monster is in place, it can just make the rest of his composition just super strong. But sometimes you have to look at the big picture at hand and see which one is the one that's going to provide the most threat here. So let's go ahead and break it down with the first round of picks here. Ganymede, obviously I'm going to be bringing immunity along with Ciara there. I love Ciara first pick. He lays out Tiana, Varad, and I go ahead and bust out Bastet and Ethna here. So of course, again, I've already seen him play quite a bit, and so he already is repping that like first turn CC kind of composition. I want to go ahead and back it up with a attack bar booster as well. I don't know what he's going to lay out here, but when I'm looking at his composition, I'm thinking he's going to bring out another attack bar booster or another speed lead like a Gemini, and then on top of that, some kind of other CC thing. He's going to get the first turn, and he's going to go ahead and just lock me down to no end. So I already know in the back of my mind, I'm going to be bringing a double immunity because I want to make it difficult for him. I feel if I don't bring the double immunity, then he's going to go ahead and take that away, and then potentially potentially just lock me down from square one. So in this particular situation, I don't know if I made the correct choice here, but I bring in Ethna over another the immunity, right? I want to go ahead and see what he lays out in the last two. I think he knows that I'm going to be bringing a double immunity, but I wanted to go ahead and wait for the final turn, and then I pick Ethna here. Ethna being obviously strong versus the wind and water, I felt like that was a good choice. However, because of the fact that I'm laying out two wind based monsters early on, and I already kind of know I'm going to immunity, I'm definitely making myself susceptible to some fire based monsters if they leave one of my DPS or both of my DPS in this particular situation here. So he actually brushed out Praha and Rica here. So again, bringing that fire DPS, but more importantly, that CC aspect. So if you guys haven't seen it, right, the Rica got a recent change in the last balance patch. Super cool, right? It has the stun mechanic on the, well, it already had the stun mechanic on the first go, but it has the slow. In addition to that, it already has a built-in slow with the dots here. So combine the dots with Praha's AoE strip, I'm already like in a world of hurt. However, the thing of it is that CC is something that I'm not going to be able to evade in this particular situation. However, being able to get that guaranteed first turn along with the 100% buff removal by means of Tiana makes me feel that despite the fact that Ganymede being able to reset and keep these guys going, I feel like that's going to be the strongest thing. So this is kind of interesting because again, I don't want to leave him with the method of sustain, but there's really nothing I can do. He's going to have CC all day. He's going to have some kind of buff strip here. So I just got to have to go with Tiana. I hope that's the best choice here. He went ahead and banned Ciara. Obviously, Ciara is super strong here without him having any kind of immunity. This is pretty interesting. I noticed that his Praha didn't have the immunity, so I go ahead and use that Grant Life to push Ethna through and see if I can get a clutch stun. He is running the Nemesis set, so now because of that, he went ahead and lost his turn, and I was able to use my immunity to get my Villager all set up. And so of course he's going to be having to waste a couple of turns here, not able to use his CC to his finest here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get some defense breaks and some hit point disturbs here. I actually go ahead and swap I think over to Ganymede here shortly, but I use the second skill to try to generate enough attack bar to get ahead of Praha, but Praha doesn't. I don't get ahead of Praha. Praha uses her second skill and basically makes me cringe to no end, despite the fact of taking out Ganymede, because again, she removes it. We got Rica to follow, and now we have the absolute zero coming here. I'm really not feeling comfortable right now, despite the fact that I still have Bastet kind of hanging out there. But I knew that I still had about one turn or so, so I'm going to go ahead and provide that attack buff, try to break down Rica here. Luckily, I missed a clutch stun on, or she missed a clutch stun on Ethna and Beta here, but it looks like Virad was able to follow through on Ethna. So I don't even care about the sleep right now. I'm just trying to generate attack bars here from Ethna because I want to get my third skill back up and try to take it out. And if not, be able to take out Ethna, be able to lock her down really quick. So once again, it is up for my third skill. And because of the fact that I'm under 35% HP, I'm able to go ahead and knock her out. And so after that, it's pretty much a 4-2 fight. And we were able to kind of lock down and solidify this particular fight. So overall, it was pretty interesting. Because again, when it comes to first turn CC compositions, I'm generally dealing with Tiana, I'm generally dealing with Ganymede, and some other kind of like CC like Virad and Okeanos. So despite the fact that I hate leaving Ganymede in this particular situation, I had to analyze this particular team and realize the fact that in order for him to essentially control the fight, he really needed that first turn by means of Tiana. So despite the fact that I cannot take away his buff removal or strip, you know, all day, like might as well make it essentially a gamble and give him the opportunity to, you know, have that Praha and of course have that sustain. But of course, I was able to get the better of the match. Again, like I said, that's one win to his like 22. I don't even know how many times I've lost versus him, but I thought it was a pretty, you know, interesting fight for me personally because it just kind of puts a reminder for you guys is that when you see certain fights that you do, and you see particular monsters getting picked, sometimes we are so quick to pick it because it's such a highly contested monster. We know the strength of what it can do, but analyze that fight. Take a look at the fight at the big picture, well, at least with the time that you have allotted, and make sure that you're choosing the unit that essentially is the foundation or the backbone of everything they are trying to do, okay? What we'll go ahead and do is take a quick peek at Ethna, because I know that a lot of people generally ask me, you know, how I have it built. So we're going to go ahead and showcase that real quick. So here we are, Ethna, the Wind Hell Lady. This is specifically built for the RTA. How this came to be, basically, once I pulled her and once I realized that I wanted to bring her in the RTA, I definitely wanted to have her, you know, fast and tanky, but I tried my very best to have her on a despair set. However, because of the fact that I have other key monsters like Iris, that, you know, is taking some of those better despair runes that I don't have a lot of options, I went back to one of my things that I always preach when it comes to the Summoner Sword community in certain aspects of the game, and that's talking about stats over sets. Get the stats that you need, and then, you know, after you get those stats, if you can make it work with sets, you know, go ahead and do that. So this time around, I was able to take a look at a lot of the extra runes that I have, and despite the fact of not getting it on the despair set, I was able to get the will that I want and get her relatively tanky while still maintaining a decent amount of attack here. So this is the rune build that we got going on here. Really weird, right? Defense, critical damage, HP. And again, the only reason why I'm able to run it is because I got some decent attack substats on some of these runes here, so I can still do some decent amount of damage. And that's where you gotta figure it out when it comes to Ethna here. I think that it is not a requirement to have, you know, a crazy amount of attack if you're trying to go with a little bit more hybrid approach. However, keep in mind that that aspect of the third skill, being able to stun the opponent when it's you know, HP is a little bit low, a guaranteed stun, if you can get down to that 30% or less, is extremely important. So, you know, keep that in mind if you're trying to build it and trying to get a little bit of value out of the stun, if you can't use the despair set, right? If you have the despair set, you got an additional option of trying to lock the opponent down, and you know, using that, you know, in composition or in combination with this particular one here. However, since I don't have that, I did want to keep her relatively tanky, but still have enough attack power, enough critical rate, enough critical damage to go ahead and get the job done. If you are playing around with this in the RTA build, and maybe you can't go you know, crazy damage or whatnot, I definitely would recommend, again, making it fast, tanky, and then trying to get as much critical rate as possible. This is a particular skill that is generally underrated. A lot of people have been using it now. I mean, but if you guys are not familiar with this, if you can get this skill maxed out, 2-turn cooldown with an opportunity to increase your attack bar by 10% when you land that critical hit, right? So generally, if you're bringing her in a situation here, because of the fact that, you know, Obviously, if you're dealing with the fire-based units, you're going to have an issue on that. But if you're bringing it in a composition like I did, where the majority of the monsters are wind or water-based or neutral, that's a great opportunity to generate anywhere from like 60 to 80%, attack bar on average. Like I did in the previous match, with that Praha, right? I basically essentially wanted to use my defense break, despite the fact that she was slept, wanted to use the defense break and try to generate the attack bar so I can get ahead of Praha and try to use my third skill to lock her down. Of course, I wasn't able to do that, but at the end of the day, I was able to win the fight. So that's going to be pretty much it, guys. Let me know what you guys think about that fight. Think about the pick and ban process. Think about the choices I made or the choices Arstar made, and tell me, what would you have done differently had you been in this same kind of situation? Let me know what we can do to improve. I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback, all right? That's going to be it, y'all. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It's your boy Childish from ChildishPlays checking out. Take care, and we will see you all next week.